Okay, hello everyone. My name is Laquan Williams, and today I'm going to talk about what happened last night on Legends of Tomorrow's seventh season, the third episode, and it's basically all focused on Gideon, and I wanted to talk about that and give my review on it, and also talk about what happened, as well as basically how the show has been changed to, and I've said this in previous videos, how it's been changed into basically a crappy, cheesy ripoff of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, this is DC's version of Guardians of the Galaxy. This a bunch of superheroes together on a ship. They're traveling through space and time. Except Guardians of the Galaxy, they weren't time traveling, but they were traveling through space and going through to different planets. It's essentially a comedy show now. It's not the same as it used to be. I made a couple of comments on TV Promo's YouTube channel, specifically under the videos for next week's episode, the trailer for it, and also this week's episode, which was this 100th episode um, anniversary celebration, which saw other cast members who are no longer on the show come back. All of them were there except three characters. Actually, three. Moana wasn't there. The girl who played Moana, she used to transform into a big, huge, scary monster. She came into the show like a couple of seasons ago. She was an original cast member, but she was on there for them with them on the ship, and she did help them out for about a season. Gary and her were kind of close because they were like kind of like outsiders. So she would be third. Second is Vixen. I didn't see her at all. She was the only character on the show that was black prior to Azra. She was obviously a very important character. She could, use animal strength and about around her, her powers, which obviously were from her family. The necklace that she wore to give her powers to actually gain the strength of animals. That you can obviously see the aura around them and obviously the physical presence of them. So she could get strength from like a tiger or a gorilla. You saw obviously the animal's picture or around her, and she would be able to use that to attack people. Firstly, is Hawk Girl. Hawk Girl is not there at all, but Hawkman was in this episode, and it's like she wasn't there at all. So that was her. Oh, and one person that's also missing is Mick Rory, who's Heatwave, played by actor Dominic Purcell. They had him look like he was in the episode, but he was laid down, knocked out. I don't even think that was him because he was not listed as a person in the show as for a cameo of this episode. So they just had somebody pretend to be him and showed him laid down, knocked out, drunk, and basically a hangover. And Wentworth Miller, who plays Captain Cold, who was obviously played with him as his brother Michael Schofield on the show 24. Excuse me, Prison Break. That was another show on Fox. Prison Break. So he was on the episode, but in full, you got to see his face, and he had his parts and everything. He was there, but he just said, "My partner's actually knocked out right now," as you can see, and it showed Mick Rory allegedly on the floor, knocked out, laid down, drunk, but we never saw his face. So it obviously was a Dominique Purcell because he left the show last season. They said he could be making a couple of cameos this season online. It's reported. I don't know what's going to happen. So basically what is going on is basically Gideon obviously is no longer an AI computer system inside of the Wave Rider, their spaceship that all the legends live on. That's also their time ship slash teleportation device that allows them to travel through space. They live on it like Lost in Space. It's their home. It's their colony. That's where they stay. Everybody obviously has roommates and together, obviously, for the past 7-8 years now. So that's her physically. She's no longer an AI system or a big, huge talking blue head flying around, kind of like how Zordon was in the Power Rangers, how he was in his tube as obviously always the head person in charge to tell them exactly what the Power Rangers obviously need to do, even though he had Alpha 5 and Alpha 6 to help him as his slash robot slash AI system, but obviously he was a physical walking being as Alpha 5 and Alpha 6 were as robots. Zordon was in his tube. He can never leave out. That's where he stayed. That was his life force as well. That was his basically lifeline and his life source and power were inside his tube, where obviously he couldn't leave or he would die. There was never any way for him to get out. That's why in Power Rangers first movie, 1995, when I was a kid, when he was out of his time morph, his big huge tube that he's in, he was losing his power and energy, and also it was draining his life force. He was dying because it's basically like that's how somebody who has like breathing problems is able to live. If they have a respirator with them at all time, or they always have to have the not the tanks, the oxygen tanks with them at all time, and always have the breathing tubes in her nose. That's basically how it was with Zordon. So basically, that's how it is with Gideon. So basically, she is a living, breathing human, flesh and bone. She's no longer in an AI system, but she's still having the effects of what happened to her after she has no longer she has left with Wave Rider, and she's obviously now just obviously, like I said, skin, flesh, and bone. So she's having the effects and the flashbacks of it. So Azra and Spooner right here, it was them helping Gideon throughout the whole episode. The rest of the legends were obviously preoccupied doing other things, so it was a solo episode. They only interacted with him inside Gideon's mind and her memories. They weren't physically interacting with her outside of that, because all these other cast members who are no longer on the show were just making cameos just for one specific, this special episode, which is the 100th episode in the 7th season, which they're currently in right now. So Spooner and Azra were basically helping her try to figure out what's going on with her. She malfunctioned and basically blacked out. They had to go inside her mind and figure out what's happening. An evil version of Gideon was attacking her mind like a virus, trying to take over her body and mind. And she was basically telling her, "You can join me, and I'll be in control of your body. Your mind. You can be in control of your body. But the legends are evil. You can't trust them. You need to let them go, destroy them, leave them behind." She showed her the tape of it was probably the 2nd season, I think. Possibly it was a flashback. They showed it where Rip Hunter was basically talking to Gideon, saying you're supposed to protect the ship, and also your main focus is also to protect time itself, and I'm going to reprogram you to obviously get to know the legends and obviously protect them and obviously give them a chance. And that he rewrote her source code and changed her mechanisms and obviously her anything and to do with her mainframe information to basically say to change it to state that her main focus, besides saving time and space itself in the timeline, obviously with the anomalies and anything that's happening wrong, is to also protect the legends on the ship. So that's what Rip Hunter did in the flashback, and she was able to see that, and she got exposed to that. But the evil version of herself was trying to do is to basically show her that Rip Hunter and the legends don't care about you. The only reason that you've been suffering all your pain and misery is because of them. So why do you care about them? They're not really your family or your friends. They're just using you, and they really don't mean it. You don't mean anything to them. Jax, who apparently had a British accent the whole entire episode, which I thought was really weird. It was dumb actually, but he said, "Oh, this is how Gideon remembers me in her mind." But she has a British accent; he doesn't have one, so I don't know how that works. Because the character / actor that plays him, actress that plays Gideon right here, she is British, along with Rip Hunter. Only 2 people on the show, besides obviously Matt Ryan, who plays John Constantine, who is a British actor on the show or actress. So that's basically what happened. Jax was helping Azra and Spooner travel through Gideon's mind and through different memories to figure out what's going on, who's attacking her, and help her help for them to figure out how to break Gideon out of this not spell that she's in, break her out of her basically the sleep that she was in to wake her up, obviously, and they did that eventually along the way, and we saw that. But essentially, this episode doesn't really tie into next week's episode. A preview of what next week's episode is, which is the 4th episode, is the legends are all together back, and they're still trying to get to New York to meet Professor Gwen Davies, who is Matt Ryan's new character, who he plays as the professor who knows all about time travel. Since Matt Ryan, who is no longer playing John Constantine on the show because HBO Max has taken the rights of that character, and J.J. Abrams is going to be making his own solo show that's going to be out next year. So that because of that, Matt Ryan can no longer play John Constantine on the show. So that's why at the end of the last season, which was season 6 of the Legends, they took him out. Obviously, he didn't die, but he disappeared and faded away. And say he's kind of moving on. And it really doesn't mean anything because he won't be back. But yes, this new character that he's playing, the actor Matt Ryan, they're supposed to meet with him in New York and try to help him. They're going to talk to him, help him, and try to see if he can help them out because he's a scientist and knows all about time travel. And he's making his own device, and basically he's like their Doc Brown. How they run into him, and they basically they're trying to figure out, obviously, if he can help them get back to 2021. So we'll see what happens with that. But they're 1920. The 1920 is currently stuck right now. They're trying to get to New York to stop him to before he commits his time traveling experiment, so he can help them. And obviously, that doesn't screw up the timeline any further, based off of what has already happened with Nate obviously accidentally killing J. Edgar Hoover and mess up the American timeline and the Western civilization timeline as we know it as a whole. So that's basically what's going on. So what happens at the end of the episode, basically, Gideon obviously takes out the evil AI system version of her that wanted her to take over this ship, the Legends, and destroy everybody and be in charge. Obviously, she destroys it. Gideon as her helper, she wakes up. Like I said, next week's episode, which is season 7, episode 4, the Legends are all together. They're in some type of speakeasy. They're trying to take down mobsters and gangsters, and um, Sarah Lance and Ava Sharp are the Bullet Blondes again. Now they're putting on a musical show dance number for the whole crowd to keep them entertained while they try to keep the gangsters from taking over the speakeasy. This is 1920, so mobsters, gangsters, Al Capone, they already fought with his men, obviously, in the last episode, which was episode 2, when he tried to kidnap J. Edgar Hoover, which obviously Nate was impersonating again for the second time. So we'll see what happens with that. So that's actually a filler episode. Next week, it has nothing to do with this week's episode, but how it ties in. But this week's episode obviously ties into the rest of the season. So everybody that came back, obviously, besides Vixen, Moana, and obviously Heat Wave and Hot Girl, 4 people were missing from this whole entire episode as the reunion episode. Obviously, it was just boring. There was nothing really exciting. The show's not fun anymore. I'm just not gonna keep lying and acting like it is. It's not fun anymore. But as I've watched with every other episode and season since the beginning, and all the other CW TV shows that I've seen, which are Green Arrow, The Flash, Black Lightning, and also Superman and Lois, I'll watch every episode until the show is over, whether it's canceled or it just ends on its own, just to not be lost. So I'm going to watch this until either this season is the last one or the next season is, depending on how things are looking. It looks like this possibly could be the last season. If they are able to squeeze out one more and just literally keep beating a dead horse and dragging this dead corpse to the end, most likely CW will make this last 8th season limited to 10 episodes or possibly 8, because this season has been down previously. This season, which is season 7, they're currently in, is 13 episodes long. The last season, which was season 6, was 15. So you can see that they're cutting the episodes down to 2 each season. So if the next one is the last one, which it looks like it will be, season 8 will probably be 10. It won't be 12. I think it'll be 10. A 2-part series, 5 episodes is focused on something, one part of what they're trying to do in space or time, and the other 5 episodes is trying to fix or figure out what is going on to solve the the big huge problem or invasion that they're trying to fix and solve, while also saving time itself and humanity. That's what's most likely going to happen, but we'll see what happens. I think that's what will take place. What I did see last night, and everybody saw it if you saw the season of episode last night, besides the 4 people, like I said, who were not included, which were Hawk Girl, Moana, Vixen, and also Heatwave, one person did come back, and that was Bishop. So I said to myself, why in the world is Bishop back again as the main villain for this season? Some people got upset with what I said on my comments on TV promos. Like I said, their YouTube channel where they posted the promos for the video promos for this week's episode, which is this episode right here, season 7, episode 3, the 100th episode anniversary. And I also posted a comment on next week's episode preview that they showed, which is season 7, episode 4, which will air next week, where the Legends are obviously, like I said, involved in some speakeasy underground bootlegger obviously operation where liquor is involved, illegal gambling, whatnot, obviously gangsters, and they're trying to shut some club down. They're supposed to stop it. So I made a comment on both videos, and some people were like, well, you don't get it, you don't understand. I was like, well, you guys must not have read my comment. I said I've been watching the show since the first season, and the first 2 seasons obviously were not like this. The tone of the show has completely changed. The villains and the bad guys were way more serious and dangerous back then. If you look at obviously how they had Damien Dark, Reverse Flash kind of popped in. Obviously, that big huge guy that turned into a demon. I forgot that guy's name. He was very big and huge. He was the demon guy. He was basically the one who tried to take Sarah Lance's soul to hell. He was scary. Obviously, they couldn't get away from him because they had to go through hell literally to get away from him and obviously figure out how to take him down with John Constantine's help, obviously. Vandal Savage. So they've had some very big and very dangerous bad guys who have been on the show in the past. But as of the last couple of seasons, obviously, as we've seen with the show, with Bishop, basically, I really don't see how you could take him seriously. That has not been the case, obviously, this whole entire season. Last season, season 6, and obviously, what we've been seeing is basically that he's not a serious character. So he likes to do musical numbers. Obviously, he dances and sings. He's like a Disney Channel, obviously, villain. Um, so basically, what I really don't understand is obviously how they decided to bring him back again. I was actually very surprised. So in looking at that, and also there was also Damien Dark was on the show. Who else was on the show? Malcolm Merlin, Vandal Savage. I'm looking at all the villains. Oh, Malice. Malice was a big, huge, scary demon guy who had bats and wings and horns, looked like the devil. Neuron, he was scary as well. He was also a demon. The Sisters of Fate, who were obviously the sisters of I forgot her name. She was a character on the show. But she was also on the show. Her sisters, they were scary because they obviously could change time itself. So basically, they've had some very scary villains on the show as the last couple of years, especially the Sisters of Fate, because they can change time itself, and it was very scary to obviously deal with them. So just looking at all the villains on here, the Legion of Doom, the Sisters of Fate, Neuron, let's see, obviously Malice, and obviously Damien Dark, Reverse Flash, Malcolm Merlin. So all these characters on the show were very, very obviously scary, and they were not to be messed with. They were very serious. But compared to obviously Bishop, I'm like, what's he doing back on the show? And again, this season 6, at the end of season 6, he was eaten by aliens. He was completely eaten and destroyed. But the version of him that was the current version of him in 2021. In the past, but in the future, the version of him before he went bad, which was 2000. It was 2013. They show that obviously on this episode, like, oh, he's back now. But this is the version of him who's not corrupt yet. But he remembers everything now all of a sudden, because even though they wiped his memory away, as soon as Gideon, he has Gideon's he had Gideon's her hard drive slash mainframe and literally in his possession already. So once he popped it up open and pressed the button to unlock it, Gideon pops up as she usually is with her big, huge, obviously blue head. She's bald, and she said, "What's going on? Where am I? Who are you? Where are the legends?" As soon as he starts hearing her say that, he starts remembering, of course, everything that happened. And surprisingly, like I said, he just so happened to have her hard drive with him already in his possession before he left the ship last time, and they brought him back to 2020. It was 2013, but they obviously had him in 2021. So basically, that's what's happening. So what's going on right now currently is obviously Bishop's back. The team will take him down obviously once again. But obviously, like I said, based off of them having the same villain on the show for 2 seasons, it just lets me know that they're obviously not really committed to obviously taking the show seriously anymore. They're not. As you can obviously see that. I was like, why is Bishop back again? So they have to take him down once again, figure out how he was able to make another Wave Rider. So apparently he's the one who made a new Wave Rider, traveled into the past, and destroyed the team's current one, and stopped them from basically even being able to hurt him. So they're trying to figure out, they don't even know what's going on. They're gonna have to play catch up with him. Some people that didn't understand my comments, I don't know why, because I already said on those replies on TV Promo's website, YouTube channel, like, oh, you don't understand. I'm like, no, I was watching the show from the beginning. I understand exactly what's going on. I said this too. The writers are lazy. I understand if you want to watch the show. I'm still watching myself, but the writers are lazy, and this is pathetic how they're using the same villain for 2 seasons, regardless of what's happening. But it's okay if they want to say that. It's no problem to me. But I'm just looking at basically what's happening. Okay, so episode 4 next week has nothing to do with him. So episode 5 is basically when they're going to finally see Professor Gwen Davies for the first time. So they probably won't figure out the whole Bishop thing until probably like episode 6, episode 7, maybe the end of episode 6, possibly. Then we'll figure out that he is the one who has the black box slash hard drive of the whole entire Wave Rider ship, and he has Gideon in his possession. Bishop reset Gideon's mainframe and obviously her control settings to factory settings, so he's in control of her now. She asked him, okay, Captain, what do you need me to do? and obviously type of anomalies or anything that you need help changing. So he's a controller for now. The whole entire team doesn't know that, so that's obviously something that they need to figure out. But obviously, he's in 2013. They can't get to him at all until Professor Gwen Davies helps them somehow travel back into time or and also into the future to prevent what he has done again. I don't know, but like I said before, it's just lazy. I'm like, okay, he's gone at the end of season 6. He's done. Now it's the 1920s. They're stuck. They're there permanently. They can't get at home back home. They have nothing to time travel with. No ship. Nothing. So they have to use trains and cars to get to New York City, obviously, because they're in the 1920s. So that's basically what's happening. I don't know what's going to happen, obviously, after that, but we'll see. It's just lazy. I'm just like, really? It's just like, oh, yeah, Bishop's back again. I'm just like, wow, really? It's just like, and you can see right here with the ratings, this week's episode only went up 25% based off of what happened with the whole, this is the 100th episode anniversary. As you can see right here, there was no big, huge difference. So as you can see here, the Legends of Tomorrow's show right here, it says that the episode this week was increased by 25% from the viewership from last week. And I'm on TVSeriesFinale.com. They have ratings for all types of shows on here. You can see another CW show, which is Batwoman. They only went up 25% from last week too. But it says viewers in the millions for Legends of Tomorrow went up 3.7. It says the viewers in the millions change. But it says it's 3.4 for viewers in the millions change, but it says viewers in millions 0.554. So I'm just like, okay, so what does that essentially mean? So I'm basically seeing that the show went up, obviously, but obviously there's not a big huge difference. It's essentially it went up 25%, but that's basically it. And you can see the other ratings for the show. This is what's been this is right here is essentially what this is essentially what has been happening on the show as the last couple of weeks with the ratings. Obviously, as you can see here, it says down 10%, down 11%, down 12.50%. So these are the first 3 episodes of this current season, which is season 7. So you can see, obviously, even with last season, the show has been down. Less people are watching the show. We don't have to lie and be honest here. Less people, yes, are watching the show. That's basically what's happening. But like I said, it's because of the bad writing. And like I said, people are not watching the show anymore. They're not taking it seriously as far as the writing goes on the show. It's been more of the comedic relief. The show is, which is Legends of Tomorrow, has become the comedic relief of the CW TV, DC TV shows. And when I look at, obviously, the Green Arrow show, I said, look at all the villains that Oliver Queen had. They were all dangerous. None of them were a joke. Ra's al Ghul, Nessa al Ghul, his sister, his daughter, Talia al Ghul, his other daughter, Legends of the League of Assassins. He had Prometheus. He had Ricardo Diaz. He had the Longbow Hunters. He had Slade Wilson, who was obviously Deathstroke. He had Bronze Tiger. He had China White. All of these characters that were on the Green Arrow, all the bad guys that he fought, they were all dangerous. And they all were taken seriously. There was no laughing matter. Oh, also, he fought Damien Dark as well. Malcolm Merlin was a bad guy on the show. So look at all those villains that the Green Arrow fought. I'm just like, wow, like I never took any of them as jokes. They were all serious to me. None of them were dangerous. You can even say Captain Boomerang as well and Argus. You could kind of throw them in. But literally, I was just like, wow, like nobody was a joke on that show. I'm just looking at all the villains, with the exception of obviously the Flash also as well, with the Reverse Flash and obviously Mirror Master and obviously Abracadabra and some other villains on the show. Obviously, Damien Dark, let's see, Zoom. Look at all these bad guys. None of them were a joke. You didn't laugh at them. You weren't pointing fingers and laughing at them because there was no joke. They were not to be messed with. Vandal Savage was ruthless. You saw him on the first couple of seasons. And I'm just talking about these shows in the past. Like I said, Green Arrow, The Flash, these other CW TV shows that are based off of DC comic book characters, just like Legends of Tomorrow. But I'm just like, they weren't jokes. But now we have Bishop the last 2 seasons. He's a complete joke. So he'll be gone probably before I say the season's over. If they drag him out into the end of this season, that's going to be insane. They probably could do it. You never know. I'm thinking he could be done. Let's see, this is these episode 3. He should be gone probably by episode 9, maybe 10 the most, if they drag him out that long. And then the last couple episodes of them trying to fix the mess that he obviously has created. Also, they created themselves. But like I said before, I'm just stating this just to say what's going on with the ratings, how the show has been, the different tone, setting has changed, obviously, from the first couple seasons. It's not the same anymore. Obviously, it's much more of a comedic relief. That's how things are. But even though people were saying those comments to me in response to what I said, listen, these people who write these shows are don't really care anymore. But it's just like a head scratcher because this is supposed to be a TV-14 show for teenagers to young adults from 18 to 26, with a show with a bunch of people on a show who are adults. None of them have kids, with the exception of the character Mick Rory, who is obviously Heatwave. No one's got kids on the show, besides Rip Hunter, obviously, but he's no longer on the show. The character, no one's got kids, and they're all living on a ship together. Weed jokes, drinking all the time. It's supposed to be fun, stoner jokes. They're all about in their mid 30s to early 40s, but it's supposed to be some type of a serious show, but it's like it doesn't seem like that anymore. But we'll see what happens. Like I said before the show's over, if this season will be the last season, which is season 7, the current season that Legends of Tomorrow is in. I didn't like this episode because it just felt it was just boring. I'm just not gonna lie, the show is boring. It's not fun anymore. I'm gonna keep watching to the end because I'll be very interested to see how it ends. I just thought that was weird. So Bishop's back. Jax has a British accent. You show Heatwave, but he's not actually on the episode. Dominic Purcell wasn't even in the episode, but it's like, oh, that guy laying down on the floor who's bald, that's Heatwave. We didn't see his face, so it's nobody to me because they didn't show a face. And when they showed everybody standing in the hall looking cool together as for a photo op, oh yeah, and the ending where they were all talking together as a team, that felt like a Disney Channel infomercial commercial for some like movie or something. It felt fake and it didn't feel real when they were talking to Bishop, like "Welcome to the team, Bishop," and how they were talking. It felt like it was Hollywood, very huge, overly scripted, overly produced, and overly acted commercials what they do in Hollywood, where they get together like when all those Hollywood celebrities who sing the song Imagine. It was really cringeworthy just a couple years ago. It felt like that, one of those infomercials when it's like, hey, when you're over here in Hollywood, it's like, it was lame. I was just like kind of like laughing. I was like, are you serious? Then when Bishop came back on the screen, I was like, wow, they really brought Bishop back again. I'm like, wow, just the same villain for 2 seasons. It's just like, wow. Because the whole focus of the show was them trying to get back to their current time, figure out who destroyed the ship. But it's like, well, they can do that still, but Bishop's back. I'm like, wow, just Bishop's back again. So they have to take him down again, save time in the space-time continuum and the timeline and life itself, and then figure out how to solve the other issues of what obviously has been messed up going into the next season or possibly the end of this season, which could be the last, like I said. But that's my review. We'll see what happens next week on the episode 4, season 7, obviously, of Legends of Tomorrow. Like I said, that's what's been happening on the show. Ratings changed. They've been dipping down, and that's basically what's been happening. I obviously don't know what's going to be taking place, obviously, with the rest of this show, obviously. Here's everybody, obviously. Missing characters, obviously, are Vixen, Moana, and obviously, Charlie's gone. She's gone, but she's not going to be coming back on the show. But I don't know, whatever. She's gone. Moana's not here. Charlie's gone. The woman, Charlie, she was the only black woman on the show besides obviously Azra, and Vixen was before her, and also Hawk Girl and Mick Rory, who is Heatwave. So all those 5 people are missing from this picture. So that's everybody here besides them. So 5 people are missing from this picture, but that's what it is. We'll see what happens. I guess they couldn't get them back. But I was like, well, Brandon Routh and his real-life wife, who plays his wife on the show, Nora Dark, so they're married on the show, and they're actually married in real life. They left the show after they were treated badly, but they somehow managed to come back, and they were able to get them to come back for this one cameo, but they didn't tell them to F off, so they're very nice people. But you couldn't get other people on the show. So he was saying contracts, and they said Hawk Girl probably didn't want to be on the show or something. I was like, I don't know. I'm like, if you were able to get them to come on for one episode, and they were left the show after how they were treated, but you were able to get those other people on the show, I was like, okay, that's just kind of weird. But whatever, I don't know. We'll see what happens. That's basically the end of my review and for this episode, and we'll see what happens on next week's episode, Legends of Tomorrow, which will be season 7, episode 4. Like I said, where the legends are involved in trying to help this establishment, this bar slash establishment, stay in business because it's a speakeasy, underground bootlegger, obviously, bar slash tavern. They're trying to keep it open because gangsters and mobsters are trying to take it down, destroy it, and they're gonna put on a musical number slash jingle with the Bullet Blondes. Obviously, Sarah Lance and Ava Sharp are gonna be the Bullet Blondes again, and trying to keep this afloat and keep everybody happy. And that really doesn't have nothing to do with the Bishop as well, like I said. So season 5, episode 5 is when I believe Gwen Davies, the professor who Matt Ryan is now playing, slash John Constantine, he's no longer playing him. His new character that's supposed to be the key to helping them throughout this whole entire season because they need him. He's supposed to be in episode 5, making his appearance and slash debut. So that's when this is going to pick back up for what's going to happen with the rest of the show moving forward with the timeline slash plot that they're currently in, and also the Bishop situation, because next week's episode has nothing to do with Bishop or obviously Professor Gwen Davies. So like I said, next week's episode is a filler episode. It's just fluff. It's just there to waste it's not there to waste time. It's there to take up time while they go into next week's episode, which will be episode 5 obviously after that, which is going to pick back up right where they need to be to finally get to New York to stop him from Professor Gwen Davies from committing his time travel experiment, so he can help them get back to the past, obviously, and go even into the future. So that's basically it. That's all I have to say. That's the end of my review for this week's episode, Legends of Tomorrow. Like I said, mostly what's been happening on the show as of the past couple of years, and basically what I've been seeing. And that's basically it. Thank you for watching, and that's all I have to say about this again. Thanks, bye.